Hello anybody and welcome to Let's Play Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Super Mario Bros. All-Star Pack. I am Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and today we are starting LP number 5, and we're going to jump right in to Super Mario Bros. 2 for the NES, but actually remade for the Super Nintendo, because if I had to choose between the two, why would I go with the one... I'm going to go with the one that looks better. Okay, story time. When Mario opened a door after climbing a long stair in his dream, another world spread before him, and he heard a voice call for help to be freed from a spell. After awakening, Mario went to a cave nearby, and to his surprise, he saw exactly what he saw in his dream. And now we push start, and what'll that do but instantly send us to a character select screen. So, Super Mario Bros. 2, I feel like there's not a lot I need to explain here. What I am going to say here is that I'm going to be using all the characters. So, Super Mario Bros. 2, as it appears on the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars pack, Jesus, like Super Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga all over again, where it's just saying really long titles over and over again. As this game appears on the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars pack, as it differs from its NES incarnation, is obviously it's in 16-bit with greater music. I caught that turnip! I am the best! That was the best moment. But I can't go through a door with it. So, as it differs from the NES version, it has updated graphics, updated music, and a little user interface detail is if you die in a level in the NES version, you have to continue playing as the character that you selected until you get a game over or beat the level. In this game, you can change characters if you die between levels. So this game is more forgiving in that regard, and it doesn't lock you into a character choice if you get a bad character choice for a certain level. So, now that I've actually gotten that out of the way, I think I should actually talk a bit about Super Mario Bros. 2 itself and what I'm doing here. So, as you can see, again, it comes down to most people know Super Mario Bros. 2, or as it was known in Japan, Super Mario Bros. USA, because one of the most famous known and well-known stories is that Super Mario Bros. 2, this game, was actually Doki Doki Panic in Japan, so it's kind of the black sheep of the franchise, and for a few reasons in how it's different. You can't kill enemies by jumping on them anymore. You have to pick them up and throw them at each other or off of cliffs. So Mario Bros. 2 is definitely a far cry from its predecessor, which was Super Mario Bros. 1. So there wasn't really much of a standard. We have POW blocks from the original Mario Bros. Arcade game, which clears all the enemies on the screen. We have bombs. There's so much in this first level that there's just needs to be talked about, needs to be explained, but it doesn't really need to be explained because the game just kind of throws you right in, and we just go and throw things. And if you get 5 cherries, you get a star. And what does a star do? But in classic Mario fashion, is it kills enemies. However, this was a foolish idea to come up there, go down here, so we're going to be going through this door instead. So, what makes Mario Bros. 2 special? Well, I kind of already talked about that. If you pick up 5 large turnips in a row, you get a clock that freezes time, which freezes enemies. So that's a cool thing. They're very rare to appear, and you kind of have to pick all the vegetables you can along the way. We could go through this side door over here, but that's a shortcut to the boss, and, well, I'm going to show off the whole level. A lot of run-throughs of Mario Bros. 2 that I see like to just kind of go through everything as quickly as they can. So they'll take the shortcuts to the boss, they'll take the warp pipes. There are warp pipes in this game that'll warp you ahead levels. I am going to be doing every level in the game, as well as all the I'm going to be all swapping through all the characters. So every time I die or go on to a new level, I'll be moving on to the next level because I want to show off all the characters. I'm afraid it ain't nothing but Luigi today. So, we climb up into the clouds, and we immediately come to another vertical section, which was like in the first area of the game. And this is where I want to talk a little bit about Super Mario Bros. 2 as it was developed. So, a lot of people, after learning that Super Mario Bros. 2, this game, was actually Doki Doki Panic, an entirely different game in Japan, which was all Arabia-themed with magic lamps instead of potions, and an Arabian family trying to save somebody from their family, I think. I'm not entirely sure on the plot there. But when people learn that, and that the real Mario Bros. 2, which was basically Mario Bros. 1 but a lot harder, when they learned that that was withheld from the US because it was deemed too hard for Northwestern audiences, and this game wasn't even a Mario game to begin with, a lot of people decided that this game sucks. That they decided, hey, this doesn't belong in the Mario franchise. It doesn't belong. And that's something I wholeheartedly disagree with, and which I will hope to, argue against throughout the course of this LP. So we come up to our first boss here, which is Birdo, who in the first game came with an instruction manual, and it says that it was actually a male, and that he prefers to be called Birdie. Birdo has a very interesting history behind him, her. I'm going to go with her because she wants to be known as a girl, and the interesting thing about Birdo is that in North America, at least, Birdo has just kind of become a female character. Even though it was kind of, it's a guy who thinks he's a girl thing, it kind of became, it's a girl now. Whereas in Japan, he's still kind of transgendered and a man who wants to be a woman. So that's a really interesting detail. But I'd talk about it more, but I should not stall with the game. So those coins we got in the alternate world when we went with potions are used in slot machine times, which is actually really hard. You can put some timing into this, and the cool thing is that if you get a cherry first, you will always get a life. If you get 2 cherries, you get 2 lives. If you get 3 cherries, I forget if you get how many lives you get for that. I don't really know how many lives you get per combination here, but cherry is the only one where if you get a cherry first, you'll just immediately go on. I'm just kind of mashing through this. There is an actual bit of timing to this if you want to do this for real, but it's really hard to do, and, well, I'm not going to do very well at getting it. I'm going to be cutting most of these lottery things because after this, well, there's nothing to really say about it, and I think I got 2 lives out of that. Not bad. So for the second level, we're going to be going on to Luigi, and we're immediately going to be thrown into another world with cliffs and a Pidgeot. That is a Pidgeot, and he rides a magic carpet. And we're going to, totally jack the magic carpet and throw him into a Bezo. Those are Bezos. They're actually one of the more dangerous enemies in the game because they'll just kind of spawn and come down at you from angles. Now, Luigi is different from Mario. This is one of the first games where Luigi had really different controls from Mario. And what that entails in this game is that he can jump higher, but he's more slippery than Mario, and he has more high hang time. But again, he's slipperier, and not as strong. Strength in this game pertains to how quickly you pick things out of the ground. Also, he's not as fast a runner as Mario. Mario is very much the well-rounded character, and this would go to define his... I'm gonna leave here for a moment. Mario being a well-rounded character would go to define his entire, character in games to come, where if there was ever a choice in a Mario game and characters you get to play, from the spin-offs to whatever, to like the sports spin-offs, usually Mario would be the all-rounded one. All-rounded speed, all-rounded abilities. This shows in Smash Bros. 2, so yeah, which means he's usually the least used character, funnily enough. Now, I came down here and I kind of wanted to hesitate in doing it, but there's no avoiding it now. These are Phantos, and this is a Phantos key, and Phanto's kind of infamous in Super Mario Bros. History because he's one of the most terrifying enemies ever. You pick up this key and he will hunt you down until you're dead, or until you get rid of the key. He will come back. He is unkillable except for a glitch that is hard to pull off, wherein you have to freeze time while he's on screen, get a star, and run right into him. That is the only way I know of to kill a Phanto. Also, this is a Sniffet over here, and he's going to shoot at us. And this is one of the reasons, these guys are actually one of the reasons that I believe that Mario Bros. 2 does have a place in the Mario universe. Because it already established all these different species and cool enemies that would go on to be in future Mario games, and to be some of the best in future Mario games, such as the Shy Guys and the Sniffets. Shy Guys being one of the best enemies ever, and we won't see them for a while yet, but Bombs are also going to appear, and then also Birdo. I guess you could count her too. I mean, why wouldn't you count her, you jerk? Don't not count Birdo. Oh, geez. Now, this is a really high jump. It's easy for Luigi to get up to, but short jumpers like Mario and Toad need to crouch and do a super jump if they want to get up, or ride on the Ninjas' heads. Ninjas are kind of rare, very rare enemies in the Mario Kingdom, or the Mario games, probably because they are ninjas. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point, is that they're hard to find and stealthy and whatever. They also appeared in Super Mario World in the final, very final level, and also in Paper Mario, strangely enough, although I think there was only the one who told you to go to Shiver City. I don't know why I'm picking up all these, plants. I don't know why. And another thing, even though you can't kill enemies by jumping on them, just the novel, fun concept of picking up items and throwing them at your enemies, or picking up enemies and throwing them at other enemies, is such a fun concept, and those are great sound effects, although I do prefer the sound effects of throwing and picking up on the NES. They're just a little more, they have a bit more punch to them, and they just sound a bit better, in my opinion. So we come to the second Birdo boss fight. Thankfully, Birdo isn't the only boss in this game. Otherwise, that would get kind of old really fast. Not gonna lie. Actually, I fought many, many Birdos in many, many Super Mario Bros. 2 plays all over my life without actually getting to a boss other than Birdo, because in my experience with Mario Bros. 2, I played the game a lot at like a friend's house and at a cousin's house, but I never was able to play long enough to get to a proper boss. It was always just usually Birdo who I got to face. And that's going to be part of a story about my personal experiences with Super Mario Bros. 2. But I'll get into that as I go. And also, I got another life. I'm up to 10. In Mario Bros. 2 on the NES, it's also worth mentioning that you started the game, I think, with 3 lives, and you only had 2 continues. Whereas, since this is the All-Stars pack, you start with 5 lives, and you get unlimited continues. Continuing just starts you back at the beginning of a world. So we are going to move on to the next character in our list, Toad. This is the first game Toad was playable in, and it's actually quite a step up. And this is another reason why I like Super Mario Bros. 2 as a game in the franchise of Mario. It gave Luigi and Peach and Toad, it made them all playable. It gave you playable characters. It rounded out their characters too. Toad is this stocky, though fast, and I just missed a star, and the mushroom's right on the door. It rounded out sort of their characteristics, and they're using their character stats in a new game in the Mario franchise, Super Mario 3D World, which is set to come out in December. And no. Okay, I'm not moving on to Peach because we barely saw Toad. But yeah, they're using their stats in Super Mario 3D World. Now, to actually talk about Toad for a little bit, Toad is the fastest and the strongest of the characters you can choose from. He picks up things really fast, and funnily enough, he actually runs faster when he's carrying something. So that's cool. However, he jumps like a broken pogo stick, and he is really slippery and hard to control. And that's why he's often preferred to be played as by people who want a hard... People who want a harder experience with Super Mario Bros. 2 usually do Toad playthroughs, and Toad is one of the more fun characters to play with, even just because he runs so fast. He kind of puts the others to shame. So, the potions. They teleport you to the world, and as you've seen, you can get mushrooms that increase your max HP. However, it's only in the first few levels of the game, where they give you obvious locations as to where the mushrooms might be, where you just plonk down the potion and get yourself plonk down the potion really close to where you found it, and you'll get a mushroom. It very quickly becomes that you actually have to search around a little bit and try to figure out where they are. So Toad, he is small now. There are no power-ups in this game. That's another thing that's kind of weird about it, and I missed that heart that was down there. In that, it's very strange for a Mario game not to have power-ups, other than, oh, you have a mushroom that increases your max HP, and that's neat and all, but on your last hit, I think you do get a reduced hitbox, so that's actually pretty cool. I mean, yeah, you want to be big, but there's no real advantage to being big in this game, because, well, you can't really break brick blocks, and if anything, being smaller gives you a smaller hitbox. So this is, funnily enough, it's better to be small, and that is a terrifying giant statue of masked death. Phanto is, in fact, one of the most terrifying enemies in actually video game history. I mean, most people who grew up with these games, and I can say that I grew up with this game, even if it was on the All-Stars version, is that Phanto is a legitimately unnerving, unsettling enemy. How he's always haunting you, always stalking you. I mean, yeah, it's just a creepy mask, but whatever. It's definitely a terrifying enemy. So when you fall down here, you want to hang to the right. Although it does take a while for Phanto to catch up with you. So there's that. he has gone on in history to be one of the more memorable characters in the franchise, and again, that's another reason why Mario Bros. 2 shouldn't be shunned as it is, because, well, it has memorable characters and memorable moments, and it does have power-ups, I guess, in the form of stars, even though I think nobody really knew what cherries did for a while. I mean, nobody probably picked up their 5th cherry and immediately realized, oh, cherries get me stars. So we get to the end of this level, and there's only a crystal ball here. There's no boss. There's no Birdo. Except we go in this mouth, and we get the boss music. Who could it be? Is it a Birdo? All I know is that we need to use bombs to get over to it. Oh, and whatever it is, it's chucking bombs at us. It's Mauser. Mauser. I think it's supposed to sound like a gun, the German weapon, the Mauser. I think that's a German weapon anyway. It sounds German, to be precise. So this is the first boss in the game that isn't just hucking things back at it. Mauser, you have to huck his bombs back at him. And, you know, actually hit him with them with the explosion. And that's the only way to defeat him. However, oh, and I jumped right into him. We will get teleported right back to the boss room, though, so I will save Peach for the next episode and give her her own level if you want to see how she controls then. So yeah, this is the first proper boss in the game. The worlds are built up so that most of the worlds in this game are 3 levels long. First 2 levels you usually fight a Birdo, and then the 3rd level you come to a big fortress kind of building and you fight a proper boss. In this case, Mauser. Mauser was actually in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show as one of Bowser's henchmen. And the interesting thing about the Super Mario Bros. Super Show is that it was more based on Mario 2 than Super Mario Bros. And I didn't want to interrupt that music because we have become victorious. Mauser was French in that game, and that's all I really have to say on the matter. So, we have defeated Mauser. We have cleared World 1. We're going to go through this door and run through our coins in this one last go at the lottery. Oh! Nuts. You lose! Alright, so I think that is a good way to end off the first episode of this LP. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but we did clear a world in one video, so maybe it'll be 1 world per episode, but the worlds do get progressively harder and longer, so I'm just going to play it by ear. We're going to see what's going to happen with that. So if you want to see Princess Peach, how she controls, and if you want to see World 2 in the next episode, I just hope I'm going to see somebody in the next one. Bye-bye!